Hi, I'm Mike Cabasi, and I shoot for NCIS. You're watching NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Live from Las Vegas, this is NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Greetings. I'm Jeff Adams here at NAB Live 2016. And here we are, celebrating. I got to tell you, first off, most people are roaming the halls right now. It's crazy at NAB. Some people had me out last night till like 12:30. So it was a little tired. You ever get that feeling at NAB you're really tired? I've been popping airbornes all day long. All day long, folks. So anyways, enough about the boring Jeff Adams. I have a phenomenal guest today. I have Richard with Quicklink. How you doing, Richard?
I'm doing good.
When did you get here, Richard?
I got here on Saturday lunchtime, so I've still got a bit of jet lag going on because I'm a Limey from the UK.
Yeah.
8-hour time difference.
So we're going to talk a lot about your products today. Very excited about the launch of your TX multi-unit with your TX Skype. Explain to the audience what exactly that is.
Sure. I mean, we launched the TX just over a year ago now. Great product, really good for the market. And what it is, it basically takes a Skype call, a consumer Skype call, and really puts it in the hands of the professional broadcaster, giving you HD, SDI outputs, and also you've got your analog, your balanced analog connectors there. And if you want to as well, you can bring in HDMI, so you've got some of the comfort areas. You can watch it on a standard screen as well. So that was a great product to bring to market. Allowed all kinds of Skype users, from breaking news. So you've got over 300 million Skype users out there.
Yeah. What
a great way to bring people in from a breaking news story, but also a show.
Yeah.
If you want to bring a guest speaker into like one of your own shows, for instance, you can bring them in just using regular Skype. So great product. But one of the real ones which came back from the market was it was able to handle one call only.
Right.
So you needed to be in a position where you needed to stack these things. And there's a great blog going out at the moment showing the traditional unit, 4 of those stacked, and then you got the new cartoon showing 1 unit and 3 pizza boxes.
Yeah.
So what we did is we actually compressed everything, put all the extra connectors on there, and we've now brought it into a multi-channel system. So you can bring in multiple calls into a single unit.
So with the multiple calls, it's basically, to explain to the audience, to break it down if they're like trying to figure this out. So the multi-call, you actually have almost a screener per se that can bring in the calls, right? So how many, in the multi-screen, if I'm screening the Skype calls to bring people on air, how many Skype calls simultaneously can you have in the queue to bring them on air?
Well, the controller app actually supports 14 concurrent calls on that side. So what we did is we developed a number of different units to hit certain spots of what different people wanted. So the single unit, we've still got it there. There's going to be the option to bring in multiple calls on that one, but you can only take 1 SDI output. We've got the next up in the chain, the same size, same format system. That has 4 in, 4 out on it. And then we got the full-blown enterprise, the big beastie system for the really big boys or the really busy productions. And that one's going to support standard is 8, but there's no reason why we don't scale it to the full 14 if required.
So with your current clients, what was like some of the biggest? What are some of the people that you have using your units, like from entertainment? What was the idea behind this? Since we got to figure this out for a certain show. What are some of the people that are using the Quicklinks box right now?
Oh, it's global. It's all over the place. We just can't believe the success the products it's given us within a global environment. And we look at it. You can put pebbles, stepping stones across the river.
Right.
You can step all across the world with a taker that's been all over the place with people.
And it's quite amazing too, because back in 2007, I said, wouldn't it be amazing that you could bring in Skype calls And from an entertainment, doing like online streaming, it's fantastic because you can bring all this stuff into your workflow and people that are across the world. And I always thought, and it's coming, I'm sure someone's already doing it, but online game shows, like a gaming show where people just call in, you bring them up on air for game shows.
Oh,
it's fantastic.
Totally. I mean, the installations and the ideas are limitless, basically. I never thought we'd sell into radio. I mean, radio is traditionally voice.
Yeah.
But, there's a huge shift with radio now, making it available via the web. The TXs we've sold into those is fantastic because they're able to bring those people in, they bring them in their traditional audio environment, and they're able to then basically take the video in as well and make it available on their website. So, a fantastic, really cost-effective way to really grow that radio environment.
Well, I built a unit, it was like last year, for music artists. So when they, it wasn't Taylor Swift, I'll use Taylor Swift as an example. So say Taylor Swift, she's all over the place. So she has a media day. She just got back home into Nashville. She doesn't want to go to New York do media. So we made this unit for her with the Skype units.
Yeah.
And this is why I'm fascinated, because now you only need one. We made multiple. We did radio and we did the video feeds for the news, and it worked fantastic. We used like a bonded backpack, and it was phenomenal. And they were happy. Put a green screen. We could get the graphics and put it beyond there, and the Skype units were fantastic.
Well, one of the amazing things, because you're always thinking about live in this environment where you're bringing them into a live show. But I mean, the great thing with the TX is because it's got a local record facility, you can just ship another TX out to the far end, get a record, so you can be doing this call with them, really live, high quality, but actually you've got the raw source as well. So when you cut it into the edit, you can bring that file in, and you've got the even higher quality, the true production quality within that edit then. So that's really interesting. But the bandwidth's changed as much. I mean, over the last few years, it's quite incredible. Rollout of LTE, internet broadband's going up. So gone is that ropey kind of broken picture. It's true experience. It's really HD. We see the calls coming in. Within the system, there's a monitoring facility where you can actually see the quality of each call coming in, which you don't see in a regular Skype-to-Skype solution. And what you're seeing there is all these calls are coming in as HD now.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
It really is. We're not going to the live shot. Technical difficulties? Okay. We were going to actually be going to his booth live, but we're having problems with the live feed. So I wanted to make sure I wasn't running over anything. Well, let's talk about the advancements of Quicklink, or where you've been headed the last several years. You want to get into that?
Yeah, sure. Let me just grab a bit of water for this.
Yeah, go ahead. Sure. So once again, we're talking to Richard here at NAB Live 2016, and he is with Quicklinks. And let's talk about the advancements of your technology the last few years.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's been quite a shift, actually. I mean, one of the big ones, there's obviously a shift towards video over IP. It's getting really topical. We've been doing it over, I would say, 13 to 15 years now, and for us, video over IP is basically the old scenario of it being via the internet. But now it's really coming into the studio environment. So we've really embraced that side of it as well. We're really starting to move to the standards like 2022-6.
Yeah.
NDI is topical at the moment. Again, another standard which we support, the Aspen. And obviously, it's interesting what's happening within the alliance, basically, on the mobile IP media, the solution side of it, and what's coming through there when the standards are ratified, and how we're going to really move away from the coaxial cable and the SDI connectors,
yes,
and moving to pure Ethernet and good quality, and being able to move it really around the building there. So that again, this for us is a really interesting one. We moved within the TX version 1. We even moved, in those days, we moved to audio over IP. We did work with Dante, for instance, with the Dante protocol on that side. So, yeah, it's all interesting, really, what's what's happening within the IP forum on that. So that's from the back, the back end side of it. What's actually coming out of the various devices we've been developing.
Yeah.
And really moving inside the engines, HEVC. Who's not talking about it?
Right.
It's we had a big project. We did work with the European Space Agency. They were funding a project for space development, and we did work with Inmarsat, the satellite provider, and how we could really bring HD to a new satellite network, the GX network they were rolling out. GX network uplink at the moment is 4 megabit, so 4 megabit for HD is pretty well not quite there, but you add HEVC to it,
right?
Double the compression, you've got a sweet HD picture.
Yeah. Let me ask you this too. Let me rewind a little bit. I want to know. Like, there's a lot of people probably. How did you get where you're at within this company? What's the backstory? What caused you to get on the technology side of these things?
Always been interested in technology. It's something. Well, why not? Why wouldn't somebody want to be in technology? I mean,
right.
It's one of the most exciting things to be in. I mean, I came from a government background. I was in the military. I was in security, underground bunkers, and all this kind of stuff. And went into government, dealt with that, and I thought, whoa, I can't do any more of this. I've got to get into some really exciting stuff. And that's when I started getting involved with video. Got involved with a production company,
okay,
and then realized, let's move this on to the technology side of it. So yeah, it's my life. It's my lifeblood, basically.
So how did you get into the CEO position? You just kind of progressed.
Yeah, progressed my way up. There was a change of things going on, and I found my way there eventually.
And what's that like now? I mean, because you obviously you're a visionary, you're a creative person. You're coming up with these ideas and solutions. But balancing that with running a company, what is that like? What does that look like as a CEO when you're a visionary and you've got to do so much for the company? Because the CEO is a huge title. You got to make sure everybody's happy and everything's running and going and going and going. What is that like? It's very pressuring, right?
Yeah, it is, but very rewarding as well.
Yeah.
Because you got a lot of people. We moved the company 3 years ago. Moved it back to a place called Swansea in Wales. Swansea has 2 fantastic universities, loads and loads of technology.
They've got good fish and chips there, don't they?
They've got great.
I've never been.
They've got great fish and chips there. Yeah.
That's good.
So I've always been involved in that side of it. So we've got a lot of great people. The Welsh government love us as a company. In fact, when we were doing the Microsoft deal, one of the ministers came down actually to support us in those days. So it's a great place to be. I see it as the next mini Silicon Valley, basically, and there's an awful lot of visionaries buying into this as well.
Wow.
We've got the largest with the Da Vinci files. They're filmed there. We've got the largest film studio in Europe.
Wow.
So
that's crazy. I never knew that was going on. But I live here, so I don't know.
And we have palm trees as well.
You got palm trees over there?
We got palm trees.
How do those sustain during the winter?
Oh, there's a special breed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. There's special breeds for palm trees.
For Wales, yeah.
Really? Interesting. That sounds really exciting. I'm fascinated with that because I love broadcasting, and being in the entertainment industry for a very long time, I had to get smart. I got wise. Diving into this side of the technology of the nuts and bolts, because when I started doing my online show, no one was going to do it for me. I had to learn the technology, and so I'm thankful for that. But now, because I can be employed and do this, I mean, and kind of wear a lot of hats, because the way broadcasting is going now, I mean, this is a fantastic set. I mean, there's a lot of people working in and out, but you really don't see that a whole lot in the internet workflow. It's very small normally. And you have to wear a lot of hats, And what I love about your system, because when I turn it on, it works. Straight up. I can talk to the guests, bring them in my workflow, and then when I'm running the show, I'm running a board. I'm monitoring the FM feed. I'm switching video. So the last thing I don't need is the Skype thing. And what I like about it, if they have bad bandwidth, is the picture element. You can take a picture of them, and if they drop out, the picture comes in, and the audio is still there. And that's what I love about it. I didn't have to stress out.
But do you make sure you take the picture when the
right?
Yeah. So the face is spot on.
Yes.
You haven't got the open mouth or the closed. Yeah.
Bassmaster face. Yeah. So I mean, I can really say, hands down, I've had one of these units. I've had it for a good 3 months, and it's just it's fabulous in the workflow. And there are no, I mean, listen, I'm not going to say who, but there's another one out there, and I had the rack mounts, and I had problems with it. I was on with the customer support. I've had no problems. I hadn't been able to be on the phone with you guys at all.
Oh, you want to speak to our tech guys? They're great guys, but I'm
I've
glad
had
you
no
didn't.
need to.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just call and say, hey, what's up?
Just
Can
say
we have
hello.
some problems?
Phone and say hello.
Can we have some problems? Can you, put a bug in there? Let's talk about some of the other solutions and why. Obviously you guys have the bonded unit, which you guys are doing. Let's get into that, and then let's just go through the rest of your stuff that you have.
Sure. Yeah, we do. We do a bonded backpack solution. It's based on HVC technology. We've H264, HVC, both are in there. But it's a great piece of kit. It really is it's that kind of Rolls-Royce environment for getting video out, really, from just putting a couple of SIMs in a unit.
Yeah.
So low delay, easy to use, single button. So.
Well, let's stop you there. I really want to get into this, because we got a few minutes left. I wanted to get into the augmented reality.
Yeah.
I think that's let's touch on that before we have to go. But explain that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, really exciting. I mean, I'll tell you, as I was telling you, it's tech sector we're based in. We got involved, really. We were asked by the government and the health authority to get involved in some dealing with nurses and doctors and how they could support people in the community. So we looked at, what can we do, because we're coming from a video environment, how could we help those people? So we looked at remote guidance systems and developed a remote guidance system. And it was one of those light bulb moments you think, well, hang on, how can we bring this back to our core business, which is broadcast? So we looked at we thought, well, yeah, let's look at something that's pure cloud-based. So it's easy for people to get into. So basically what we've developed is a tablet environment.
Yeah.
So you basically stick the tablet on top of a camera. Nice wide angle shot, because the camera's got that tight shot. You can open up a nice wide angle shot.
Yeah.
And then at the far end, the director, the producer, could be anywhere in the world, just on an internet connection, and they can actually see exactly what's happening. That wider angle shot from the camera.
So basically, you have someone in the studio, and they said, hey, there's a. They have almost what they use in the football. They do little lines, and in the studio they can literally tell the person hey, there's a car pulling up, and you can circle it, and the cameraman can actually see it. That's what's fascinating to me. I mean, it makes
yeah, and it's real time. It's a few milliseconds before it's on the screen. You got two-way audio. You can switch to video, and it's purely cloud-based, just using a couple of browsers. So we think it's going to go down well. We know it's going down well, because the phones are going hot back in the office at the moment with the people saying, what's this you're bringing out? So I don't know. It'd be interesting. Go to our website, everybody, and register for it, and let's see what do you want to use it for? Because we've developed it.
Yeah.
But we don't really know how people are really going to use it, because till you develop a product, launch it, you think it's going to go down one way, and you find some amazing stories of the ways that people are using them in completely different environments.
I actually saw it. This is crazy. I actually saw it, and I had an idea. I said, this would be great for a live prank show. Because you could have your cameraman, you could have someone in the studio. It's you could scan out everybody. If we were at NAB right now, I could scan out, and I could pick somebody. They could pick somebody, that guy right there in the badge. They would circle him. I would know, all right, let's get that guy, and single him out and prank him.
Oh, totally.
I saw that, and that's amazing, because when you're scoping things out, I mean, you really, because the host has to go find someone you're doing pranks or whatever, and you have to do that. But if you had someone kind of producing and go get that guy, he's been sitting there for a while, he seems real laid back,
that's good.
Get him. But I mean, that could be really cool. Go to Quicklink, Quicklink.tv. Richard, thank you so much for for coming, and I know you're busy as CEO.
Thank you very much for inviting me along.
Man, great products. Go check them out. Quicklink.tv. You're watching Broadcast Beat live with NAB Live Association, and we are going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with Rob Greenlee from Spreaker.
This is Val Pinchbeck, producer-director at WTOG CW44 in Tampa, Florida. You're watching NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
Live from Las Vegas, this is NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.
NAB Live, we're doing this 9 to 5 every single day. Lots of content, latest and greatest of technology we're covering. Produced by Broadcast Beat and associated with NAB Live. It's a fantastic experience. But this one, I really feel good about this interview because I've known this man for some time. We've actually done some podcasts together. I want to introduce Rob Greenlee from Spreaker.
It's great to be here, Jeff.
I'm glad that you're here.
Well,
but
thank you.
we had some breaking news.
Yes, we did.
Literally, I got the yellow sticky note here, and it's about, if you're in the podcasting, this is pretty huge.
It is.
I mean, you're hearing it first here.
That's right. It just happened.
If you're a podcaster, here's what my dad said. My dad goes, Jeff, why'd you stop radio? I go, Dad, I'm doing a podcast. He goes, doesn't everybody have a podcast now? It
seems like it. It sure
seems like it.
Yeah.
My grandmother has a podcast.
Yeah, there's like 375,000 of them now.
And my grandmother's passed away.
Yeah.
And she's got a podcast. Anyways.
No kidding.
Let's get into this breaking news. This is huge, guys. Huge. If you're hearing this in NAB, this is huge news for podcasting. You want to go into this? You want to share this news?
Well, Google Play Music has now launched podcasting as part of their service. So it's now on a huge podcast platform like Android. So there's, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of phones out there that can now listen to podcasts in the native app.
So now, if you got an Android, you can download your favorite podcast. You can, most people that have Androids like to give the middle finger to the Apple, but now you can download
first-party service from Google.
Yes.
Yeah, now supports podcasting.
All right, Rob. I love this topic.
It's awesome.
Absolutely love it. Tell us, obviously you've been all over the place. You were at Podcast One.
Yes.
You're doing 3 podcasts now. We started a podcast at Spreaker Live last year.
Yep.
It was a podcasting about podcasting.
Yeah, I do a lot of podcasting about podcasting, trying to help people learn how to podcast and be successful doing it. There's a lot of people that are trying to get into podcasting now, and they need to learn how to do it. All the equipment that they need. I mean, that's what's great about the NAB is that this is a great place to come if you're a podcaster because you can learn a lot of things around equipment, microphones, mixers, all sorts of stuff. So
I was going to ask you, I had an idea. I wanted to do a podcast about a podcast, but the podcast is not really real, and then we'll flip it around and it'll be another podcast.
Yeah, a podcast about a podcast about a podcast? Is that
right.
what you're
No
about?
one's done it.
Okay. It sounds like a cool idea.
So let's get into Spreaker a little bit. Explain Spreaker for people that don't know.
Well, really simply, it's a podcast hosting platform, but we also support live streaming as well. So it kind of combines that kind of online radio, live streaming technology with podcasting. So you can do a live show and have that live show get published as a podcast. So it's all happens up magically up in the cloud, but Spreaker provides all of the recording and live streaming tools that you need for Android, iOS, Mac, and Windows. Plus, we also have about 5 or 6 million listeners to our listening apps as well on top of that. So it's a complete platform. We've got, I don't know, about 121,000 shows on the platform right now. There's just a lot of people producing great audio content now.
And you launched out of Spreaker, you launched the Adore.fm.
Yep.
You're taking some of the shows on the platform and taking it to the next level.
So we're trying to build kind of a model. It's really a podcast network of shows, and we're trying to build an advertising business around that. So that's the effort, because that's kind of what a lot of podcasters want to do, is that they want to quit their day jobs, right? So they just want to podcast full time. So there needs to be some way of doing that, and Podcast Network kind of aggregates podcasts and helps you able to sell them to advertisers.
I wanted to stop right there because a lot of people, they don't understand about podcasts. They say, hey, I want to do a podcast. They go to the Guitar Center, buy their mic, they buy the USB board, they plug it all in, and go, I'm gonna be a full-time podcaster. Explain the blood, sweat, and tears of really branding yourself as a podcast. A lot of people think that I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna make all this money on advertising. Explain that bomb going off right there.
Well, it's really no different than starting really any other business. You have to plan what you're going to do. You have to create, a compelling brand. You kind of have to put yourself out there and become an expert. You need to pick a topic area that you have a lot of passion about, that you can talk about, or be able to reach out to guests, be able to be somewhat entertaining, be informative. Really, a lot of the skills that a radio broadcaster has can really help you being a podcast. But also at the end of the day, it's really something that anyone can do. All of us have our passions in life, from things that we like to do, things that we do as hobbies, or things that we do professionally. And podcasting is a way of building a community around your expertise as a consultant or as a professional in all sorts of topic areas.
Yeah. I always try to figure out, I come up with an idea for a podcast and it's already taken. It just seems like there's no ideas left.
Well, no, I think there's still some opportunities out there. There's only about 325,000 podcasts globally, and there's still a lot of genres that are still kind of not met very well. But there's some ones that are, have a lot more shows than others, like comedy and things like that. So you may not necessarily want to do a comedy podcast, but there's a lot of other topics that you just need to explore what's in the podcast market today and find out who your competitors are, the same thing you would do with any business.
But podcasting, let's get into that. Let's get into the market scale of podcasting.
Okay.
And let's show that these people these graphs, because, video is on the uprise. I've done both simultaneously when I do shows, and podcast has become the element afterwards of the show that I've done. But podcasting is huge. I mean, we had the podcast movement in Texas last year. And how many people were in attendance for that?
There's about 1,500 people.
Yeah.
It's going to be in Chicago this coming July the 6th through the 8th. Podcast Movement at podcastmovement.com. And there's going to be about 2,000 podcasters there, but it's really this convergence of radio and on-demand audio that's kind of coming together at that event. So it's going to be really exciting.
Well, let's take a look at the market scale graph. We could pop that up real quick, and Rob, explain the growth of podcasting. I'll give them a second to do that as we look at ourselves, looking for the graph. They're probably going, "Dadgummit," back there.
Yeah.
But anyways, it continues. It can just continues to grow, and like everybody from a business standpoint, they think this is what irritates me. Everybody can do a podcast, but everybody shouldn't do a podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think you need to assess your skills of being able to talk and be entertaining and be able to communicate and have confidence. Not everybody feels confident public speaking or speaking into a microphone, but I think also normal everyday people can do podcasts and be successful at it. There's a lot of folks out there that have done it. It's just a matter of, like anything else, learning to ski or golf or whatever. You have to get started. You got to go through the ropes of learning how to use a microphone, knowing how to talk to guests, be able to lead a conversation. All those skills just need to be developed over time. It doesn't happen overnight.
And everybody on Facebook in the audience right now, how many has a podcast? Anybody have a podcast in the audience? There's one. Oh, yeah. Anybody think about having a podcast?
Awesome.
What would your podcast be about? Just yell it out. I'll repeat it. Web series on fire.com. What's that about? Okay, so he's doing a podcast. For those that can't hear him, he's doing a podcast about filmmakers and covering that. Interesting. You have to check it out. Are you on the Spreaker platform? But you haven't done it? You're going to do it. Go to Spreaker.com and do it there. I'm telling you straight up. So let's get it. We got those graphs ready? Liz, we got those graphs ready? The graphs.
Are they? I can talk about them.
Yeah, they're supposed to have them, but okay, let's talk about the growth.
Yeah, so the overall podcast market right now, as far as the number of podcasts globally, is about 325,000. And there's about 175,000 that are actively being updated. So a lot of podcasts get started and they do what's called pod fading. They basically create like 7 or 8 shows, and then they stop because life gets in the way, or they get tired of it, or they just run out of things to say. So there is a certain amount of podcasts that exist that have content in them but are just not being updated. So the market is growing at about 2,000 to 3,000 new podcasts every month.
Wow.
So it's growing pretty fast. Spreaker, to refer to Spreaker, and I think I mentioned this earlier, has about 121,000 shows on the platform. Not all of them are podcasts. About 36,000 of them are podcasts in the iTunes or Apple kind of ecosystem. And I think with Google, they've been actually getting podcasts submitted to them for about 3 or 4 months now. So I would imagine they're probably up in the 100 or 200,000 podcasts now on the Google Play Music Store.
Yeah, I'm going to be curious to see in the next month and a half, 2 months with Google Play, the Google Play thing happening, the growth that's going to happen. I mean, the growth numbers, people tracking their numbers for advertisers, it's just going to go out the roof now. It's good for the podcaster, basically.
Yep.
With that, explain in this time, how do you stand out from the pack? I mean, if this guy, obviously he's starting a podcast, what advice would you give him to stand out with his podcast and how to market his podcast?
Well, I think it gets back to some basic concepts that really apply to any business. Is that you need to build a visual brand that needs to be represented in what's called cover art or promo art that's actually used in iTunes and in a lot of these listening platforms. So it gives a visual idea to a potential listener of what the show's about, like maybe a picture of the host, kind of big bold letters that say what the name of the show is, and maybe some keywords in there maybe about what the topic is. But using visuals that can communicate very quickly about what the show's about and who you are, and have it look really professional is really important, because that's the first thing people see. And then, a great name for your podcast that communicates but uses keywords that are important in Google and search engines and things like that for people to find your podcast. And also searching in iTunes and other places. So I think it's really important. Those key things are really important. Your series description, and then just being kind of regular with your show. It doesn't have to be like every week at a certain time or a certain day, but I think the key thing is just regularity. So when an audience member kind of wants to follow your show, they know that it's going to be updated on a regular basis. I think that's really important.
That is very important.
Yeah.
And I've been sleeping on mine for a while. Does that mean I'm not on the Adore Network anymore?
No, you're still up there.
Okay, good.
All your show episodes are up there.
I've just been really busy. I've been really busy.
I know you have.
You came from radio background. You had your sound effects instant replay. I mean, they got one of them back there. I love those because you have the control. You actually made like a software version of people being able to load clips within this application when they're doing their show. So explain that.
Yeah, so if you have like an intro music, or if you have some sort of a clip that you want to play in your show, the software has like touch areas that you can set up like pre-established kind of content pieces that you can just touch the screen and it will activate those. It can be sound effects, it can be all sorts of stuff. So you have that full control, plus there is a window in there that you can talk to your audience through a chat process. And this is all built into one software client that enables you to have that kind of flow of conversation with your listeners if you're streaming live, but also it also enables you to preset audio segments to play during your live show.
Yeah, it's fantastic. We'll close out with this. We talked a little bit about terrestrial radio. Some of them are considering the podcast. Some of them haven't really taken it seriously. Why do you think there's been a big pull between the terrestrial radio and them really embracing podcasting?
Well, I think that terrestrial radio still has a huge audience. They're still being consumed by like 92% of the U.S. population. So I think that the broadcast radio folks feel that they have a majority of the listener base out there right now, which is true. And so I think they want to hold on to their business models. But they can also see this trend line, because it's happened to music, TV, movies, is that people are wanting to be in more control of their digital media. And I think that the radio industry is starting to see that opportunity for them to shift what they do in linear live streaming over to an on-demand model. So people can get those radio shows when they want to get them, not necessarily when it's live on the radio station. So the radio industry is making a transition around monetization models and around how to actually do this technology and what content gets put out on demand, because a lot of radio is local, it's very segment focused, tune in, tune out concepts. So there isn't always like a complete show that starts and has an end. So radio's trying to figure out how they can kind of bridge this new world of digital, and they've been struggling with it for about 10 years now. But I think they're starting to figure it out.
And the encouraging words with that, I mean, I interviewed them last year at NAB, Tom and Dan. They were on a Clear Channel big morning show.
Yeah.
They started a podcast. They didn't sign their contracts back with Clear Channel. They started a podcast. All the audience followed them. They created a podcast studio.
Yep.
Then Clear Channel came back to them again and say, we'll buy your podcast from you. We'll put you in this time slot. So they don't have any PDs down their neck. They do it their way.
Yep. And
they're getting the results they want. That's the power of podcasting. For someone that's in terrestrial radio that want to take the jump, bring their audience with them, they can be in control of their content and do it the way they want to do it.
It's true.
And that's what I love about podcasting.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of examples of on-air radio talent that have left radio, gone off and built a successful podcast, and then the radio station wants to hire them back because they reached a digital audience, and they would bring that show back to the radio station. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, depending on what the content is. But that's the model, and some of the stations are starting to build little podcast networks where they have podcasts that are part of the radio station, but they're not on air. So you have this dual strategy going on, I believe, and you're going to see more of it with the broadcast radio folks.
Yeah, and it was funny. I respect Howard Stern tremendously. I still think he's the king of all media, but he made a comment because just when you get older, I'm getting old. But when you get older, he just says, podcasts. He goes, you want to get into broadcasting, you go work at an AM station. But there's not that many opportunities. AM stations are being sold right now for like $200,000. You can have the whole kit and caboodle. Yep. So anyways, if you haven't podcast, go to Spreaker.com.
Yep.
Right? Check out what they're doing. If you like live streaming your audio, you come from a radio background, it's fantastic. They have packages, you can do it live.
Yep.
I've used it for the past 4 years, and it's been great.
You can start a podcast for $4.99. It's per month. It's really, really, really inexpensive. And plus, you can also listen to podcasts through Spreaker apps as well.
Yes, and distribution portals, iTunes, Google Play, Spreaker.com can get you there. It's really simple to use. Check them out. Rob, thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me on at the NAB Show Live.
Yes, awesome. We are at NAB Live, and we were talking podcasting, and for those that don't know, we're broadcasting live Monday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. every single day. If you don't like podcasting, that's fine. Most of you like video. We've got tons of content from all these great, talented broadcasters doing this thing. I mean, there's so much going on. So if you're bored, you want to eat lunch, sit on the couch, take a nap maybe. For my shows, you can take a nap. I don't care. I mean, look at me. So anyways, I'll be back tomorrow, 11 to 12. Tomorrow, you don't want to miss, I'll have New Tech here. We're talking video and StreamStar. They're physical hardware switchers, and I'm excited about New Tech because they're talking about NDI, which is a big topic here at NAB. So thank you, Rob. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And you're watching NAB Show Live, produced by Broadcast Beat.